live.
Okay,
Well,
well, hello, and welcome to the cast of the WGLNA Silver League match between Envy and Tactical Yolo. My name's Viral, and with me we have Urtai22.
you can just say
Fine, yeah, I said I'd drop that. You are correct. That is my fault.
Yes, definitely your fault.
Yep. Okay,
But in extension,
so
it's your fault. So
yes, by mandatory extension. So here tonight we should be seeing on your screen right now is the Silver League standings as they are right now.
1 second. There we go.
1 second, 1 second. There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So coming into tonight, we have 4 games left in the regular season for the Silver League, including tonight. So it's really coming down to the end of the wire here for these teams. Every team needs to start picking up their wins, and it's really coming down to a really close playoff race. Right now, we have 12 different teams still eligible playing for a playoff spot. But if you you start doing a bunch of the different math, it should really be coming down to about 6 different teams by the end of it here. Just going to mention something here. I was working with Dance earlier today, and there are some small discrepancies in the scoring for battles lost and battles won on the page. It will be sorted out here over the next day or two, and so don't worry. Some of the stuff that you see here on ours is actually different from what you'll see on the website. Differences will be sorted out, and everything will be fixed. So yeah, right now the top teams in the league are Envy, Danger Close, and Get Flanked, along with what will end up being Tomato Stealers. Then down below that, the teams that will be fighting for those playoff spots will be Pathetic Gaming, Tactical Yolo, Checkmate, Z Foxy, Baddies, Intensive, Spaghetti Slappers, and Hugh, along with Lincoln Brigade and War and Peace slowly following in behind. Our match tonight is between Envy, which is in first, and Tactical Yolo, which is in sixth. Envy, they've already secured themselves a playoff spot, but Tactical Yolo, they need to start picking up some wins if they want to secure it, because the difference you have between 4th and 12th right now is a difference of 6 points. And now we're going to switch over here, and we're actually going to break over some of the maps that we're going to see tonight. Tonight we're going to be seeing Cliff and Mines. We've gone up here and we've drawn up the areas of contention, the areas where you're going to see the most play from the teams here. So, Urtai, if you wanted to start us into it.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to start also by saying that I will be keeping an eye on chat. So questions or anything, just ask them, and we'll try and answer them as soon as possible. 8-minute delay though, so don't expect an answer fast.
Yep.
So, Cliff. Yeah, I mean, one team definitely has the name for this one. I mean, Tactical Yolo. This map is not really Yolo-esque, but teams kind of need to be very aggressive. It's a lot about positioning. It's a lot about focus firing, good coordination. Yeah, it's just a really fast map. And
I was going to say, Cliff is probably one of the more complex maps in the league. The majority of your fighting are going to happen around the center area here, the purple, blue, and orange zones that we have. The defensive team, which spawns up in the north, will generally be taking the areas marked with number 1, and the attacking team coming from the south will generally be taking up areas number 2. You will occasionally
we can say one
see
thing in here
teams.
though. We mark them in different colors depending on. I mean, they're kind of different zones. They're very close to each other, but they're somewhat separate. I mean, you do have the high ground in the purple. You have the blue, which is I guess, the higher middle ground, and you have the low plateau. Where you usually see people like putting their Russian tanks for generally a brawl out.
Yep. What Urtai is trying to get at is the middle fight here, which is defined by these 3 colors. They are all their own individual fights, but every single one of these lanes, if you want, can reach over and help each other out in their respective fights. And what you can do is you can either commit yourself to all three of these lanes and try and win them all through trading and trying to outplay your opponent, or you can try and put all your resources into either one or two of them in order to try and quickly get an overmatch. Like the purple zone here, it can have a large impact on the orange zone, but it'll struggle to have an impact on the blue zone. The blue zone, which is right in the middle, can have an impact on either the purple zone or the orange zone, depending upon how it plays out. There's a hill separating blue 2 and orange 2. Just between the divider here, that means that if you were the north team pushing in through into the south and you happen to go right through blue 1 into blue 2, you can just head over towards purple 2, and you've effectively made any tanks that have gone over into orange 2. They're now out of the fight. They have separated themselves from the rest of their team because of the
Technically,
hill that
they can
separates
still
it.
shoot up into the purple area. It's the
Yep.
blue area that would really, and since, like I said before, they usually put Russian mediums down there, and well, Russian mediums have like 0 to no gun depression really, so they actually need to drive up onto the blue area to be able to have shots on anything that sits in there.
Yep. They need to drive up and over it because of how the hill is. There's a depression on this side and a depression on this side, and a nice hill coming up this way in the middle. So they actually have to drive up and over and get into this fight. What you will occasionally see is teams heading over to the 2 line. You'll more see it from the attacking side, and that's where they'll get up and play on the back side of this hill here. Oh, and defense, you'll see it occasionally, but it's not generally something that you'll end up seeing because they give up the 2 cap and they really have to push across a lot of open ground in order to get back to it. And then another defense you will see coming from the defensive side is the green area. Teams will take up the green area and purple 1. They'll generally have a scout up in the purple 1 area. It'll be a batch hat or an STB, and then they'll sprinkle the rest of their tanks off in the back corners of the green area. And they try to play a slow game, and it's really up for the offense to try and break the puzzle that's been placed before them.
I mean, I would say that is probably the worst of your option. I mean, it can work if you know the other team is better at brawling than you are. So, I mean, I would say you're taking a chance.
Yep.
But we're actually loading into the first battle.
Yeah, we're gonna be seeing the lineups here shortly, so I'm gonna have to come here, go to OBS, and bring everything back on down.
Yes. We're actually seeing heavy line. Usually in Gold League, we see mostly mediums. But we see two 113s out of both teams, actually.
Yeah, both teams are going a little bit heavier here. What we're seeing from Tactical Yolo is two 113s, Batchat, STB, two T22s, and RU251. What we're seeing from Envy is two 113s, STB, two T22s, and two TVP T50s, and an RU251. So one team going a little bit more autoloader focused with what I would say is more of a constant fire autoloader selection, because the TVP has a 20-second downtime, whereas the Batchat it's a 40-second downtime, but it does about twice the damage that a TVP can do.
Yeah, so see if we can get an engagement right off the start here.
Yep. And this is kind of what we were talking about, how teams will take their Russian mediums, bring them down into this low area, where you're seeing like Spazatry, AMP, the tanks from Tactical Yolo, they're down over here in Orange 2 right now, and you're seeing Envy, they push themselves up into what is Blue 1 and Purple 1. And they're playing a lot more defensive game. Both teams have their scout over on the 1 line, and they're both trying to waiting for each other to see which one pushes up first, which one can get in the first shot, because it gives them a nice advantage going into the fight in that 1v1 over there on the 1 line.
Yeah, I don't know about this position from Envy though. It's a little bit congested. They are very gathered in one place. So Tactical Yolo can get possibly a little bit of distance, maybe get one tank over to about this area, which is, I mean, it will get scouted, most likely, and shot at. But it do look so that Envy is the better trade, so I don't think they are too worried at the moment.
Yeah, so far Envy's really done a good job of controlling the high ground, being able to punish tactical Yolo for sitting in the low ground. They have a fairly good HP advantage right now. And what they've done is they've kind of given up the hill, and they've allowed carry mode from Relic in his bat chat to push himself all the way up there and kind of control how this fight's going to work out. We've seen this 1v1 start up here over on the one line, and it looks like Panzer Gunner from Tactical Yolo pushed up first, along with Chase Potato coming up from behind. So he has a big advantage right now because he got the first shot off, and it looks like he'll be cleaning this up, and then he'll be able to harass Tactical Yolo in the side.
Yes. Actually bounces. Either heat shell to the track or just a bounce. Right? He picks it up anyway.
Yep.
And Chase is going to come up behind here. He's probably going to go and either light or just put damage into the Yolo. It seems like Envy, though, is starting to actually push forward and taking advantage of the huge, well, they had a fairly decent HP lead.
Yeah, a lot of the tanks from Tactical Yolo are really low at this point, so the slow play really worked out for Envy here. It's allowed them to really keep their HP up, and they were really successful at just punishing Tactical Yolo for playing in the low ground.
Indeed. A little bit surprising, possibly. Let's go and look at a score tab. And I mean, as you can see, most of every tank on Envy dealing their share damage. Although the TVPs definitely are on top. Whilst Yolo had issues getting the damage out on their tanks. Most definitely.
Yep. Now, if we come back over to the strat sketch, we'll be able to draw up kind of what happened here, how it played out. You're into the stat sketch?
Yes, we are.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Let me ready up here, and then we'll be able to go over this.
It's ready up again, yes. No.
Yes. So what we had, I'm just going to explain Envy's side here. They played heavy here, which this area here was purple 1, and then this area here was blue 1. And they just really played a much more slower game. What they were kind of waiting for was for this 1v1 to happen over here on the west side between these two RU-251s, which they ended up winning. But by the time they had won, they had really taken a lot of good trades over here in the middle, so it didn't really affect the outcome of the battle that much. But they were really looking just to slow down the pace of the game, win the 1v1 over here on the 1-2 line, get their tank, or get their RU, their tier 8 scout, up in behind Tactical Yolo, and just try and harass them from the back, pick up an HP advantage before they push forward. And it looked like Tactical Yolo, they looked at coming up for the fight. They saw how Envy had kind of turtled up, and then they kind of just sat back, and they got whittled away by Envy, who were in a superior position because they had the high ground.
Yeah, a little bit too much poking, most likely. Not poking as a team, I would say.
Yep.
And that wins you the game.
Yep.
All right, next battle. This time, though, on the attacking side, Envy is bringing a much more aggressive lineup. We still see the two 113s from Tactical Yolo, which might work out better on the defensive side for them. But the problem for them might be that those 113s might not make it up into the rocks in time before Envy can get shots out onto them.
Time to roll out.
Yep, so as a lineup for this one, what we have is two 113s again from Tactical Yolo, Batchat, STB, two T22s, and the RU. Same lineup as they brought to the offense there. And what we're going to be seeing here from Envy, 907, STB, two T22s, and two TVPs. So they're really preferring the TVPs over the Batchat in this situation. And as Urjai said, they're bringing the much more mobile lineup this time. 113s are fast, but they don't really, like, they're a little bit slower than the Russian mediums. So it'll be interesting to see the timing and how this all plays out as they're both coming up to the middle here. and Tactical Yolo spreading out again.
Yeah, looks
Bidding.
like Envy's pushing at least one tank over. T-22 to the backside there, basically a hold-down tank.
Yeah, the 113, he's staying off in the back, and it looks like Tactical Yolo, they committed to Orange 1 and Purple 1 here at the start, and they're really getting punishment out on End here in his TVP, and he's going to be the first tank going down.
Yeah, much better trade from Yolo this time.
Yep. That's the one nice thing that the defensive side gets. They get a little bit better hill control and a little bit better hill positioning. Now,
yes.
Envy, they've fallen back into more defensive positions, and they've put a tank over here in the G4 sector, the little hill back here, and he's really able to just hold down a nice defensive area. He can punish Tactical Yolo if they're overly aggressive, and it looks like we're still seeing this 1v1 happen over here on this 1-2 line, and neither of the light tanks have taken damage, but they've both spotted each other, so they know that they're both here. They're both in a little bit of a standoff.
Yeah, I would say that I think that Chase probably wants to take this fight.
Yeah, it looks like he's gonna.
Yeah, if he can kill out RU, or if he can just pass him, I mean, it gives a huge advantage if he can get up and get side shots on Yolo.
Yeah, this 1v1, they both taken 1 damage, and we're mainly following this here because that's what, not Tactical Yolo, but Envy is looking for to get back into this game. If they can pick up this 1v1, they can start working down some other angles, force Tactical Yolo off of some of the high ground they've taken, and that would be their window for getting back into the game. So this 1v1 here, it's going to be pretty important, but they're both just taking it really slow for right now because neither one of them want to give up the advantages that they have.
Well, the advantage of having the first shots on the guy coming around the corner.
Yeah. In World of Tanks, the aggressor generally is always at a disadvantage because it allows the defense to, like the defensive tank, they're standing still, their guns fully aimed in, where the offensive tank, they are going to have to try and aim their shot on the move. And actually, I think Panzer Gunner is going to get the first shot off here. Oh, they trade.
Yeah, trade. Panzer got a little bit better though.
Ooh, the Hesh shell's coming out. If Panzer Gunner can make this next shot land, he can actually one-shot Chase Potato with a Hesh shell, whereas Chase has to land in 2 shells.
Let's see if we can
do it. It's an HE shell with high penetration, so therefore it fits. It may be labeled as an HE shell in the game, but it actually fits the description of a Hesh shell within the game mechanics. Is Chase going to take this advantage?
Chase? Alright, I guess he doesn't see the shell actually coming out. I mean, the advantage is not too big now for Yolo. I mean, HP is pretty similar. So Envy has worked this back a little bit. They're still down a tank though, so they're still down a lot of firepower if Yolo decides to actually push in if they want to.
Yep, they still have all their constant fire tanks, but they're just down the autoloader right now, which is what's going to put them behind. Now, Chase, he's come up here, he's taken the high ground here, and Panzer Gunner's fired the first shot. So it'll be interesting to see who can win this fight here. I think the one... Ooh. Okay, Panzer Gunner has a big advantage here because of how the RNG rules have worked for the damage. He can actually take, in theory,
there you go.
Panzer Gunner picks up that 1v1, and that was a good job by him. He's really kind of just shut down Envy's only way back into this game unless they can start picking up some good trades here over the next 3 minutes.
Yeah, they need to start picking up tanks. If they want to have a chance on this. Either that or they just go for a aggressive push towards the later part of the game. Because RU can start, he has a little bit harder time than the other RU to start working around the corner because of this T22. But he should be able to at least light the T22, and the medians on top of hill should possibly have shots on that.
Yep.
I mean, at the moment though, Yolo doesn't need to do anything. They can just sit pretty and just wait for the timer. It's Envy that needs to make the move.
Going to be seeing the TVP trying to work himself all the way up into C8 where he can get back shots on this here and try and get an advantage for Envy. this being one of their last real attempts at trying to make or get themselves a good window into this game.
Yeah, Yolo should
But
recognize this and push as soon as they have those shells coming in the back. Hopefully.
yep.
Actually, it looks like it's Envy that's gonna push. They're picking up one tank. They're probably trying to focus up Prometheus at the moment.
Yeah,
They
he's
lose
gonna
a
go
tank,
down. Their
though.
next target should be the STB of Sox. He should be going down here any second, and then it should be Beal there. He'll be going down here to lefty. The Batchat should do some good work with cleaning up the T-22. This should be a win here for Tactical Yolo, simply because the TVP, he's going to be out of shells here any second, and they should just be able to cleanly mop him up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you lose that autoloader in the fairly in the beginning there for not much trade, and yeah, the game does not look good for you. Even if Envy actually played it fairly well and they more or less worked out on their HP trades really, really good. So let's have a look at the scoreboard here again. As you can see, this is a much better work on all the tanks on Yolo's side this time. And on Envy it's the opposite. We have at least one picking up a decent amount of damage, or a really good amount of damage, to be honest. Wall in a TVP, and other seem to be a little bit lackluster. Yeah, anyway, back into Strat Sketch so we can have a look at this.
Yep. So what happened in this one here is at the beginning of the game, Tactical Yolo came up and they stopped one of their 113s back here in a nice defensive position. They pushed once again out over to what would be this orange 1 sector, and they committed tanks to the purple one. And then they still had their RU sitting over here trying to watch the 1 line, wait for that flank from the other RU. And Envy on the other side, they kind of committed 1 tank out to F4 in the beginning. They were looking at, like, when you do that, that's when you kind of tell the enemy that you're not really ready to be pushing up aggressively, because you're basically leaving 1 tank out of the fight. You're looking for the enemy to do something aggressive. You're looking to punish them for being over aggressive, really, and try and win an HP trade that way. And then they initially they had their TVPs push up to right about here, so that way they could try and clip a tank out. But
Don't forget
Tactical
to ready
Yolo
up again, by the way. Just making sure.
Thank you. I have 10 seconds left. So Tactical Yolo got themselves off to a good footing here because they were able to use the high ground, use the better hill positioning that the defensive has, and they were able to punish the TVP here from from Envy, which put Envy on the back feet because they were down a tank, and then it came down to the 1v1. If they were able to pick up the 1v1 over there on the west, they would have been able to work down different angles here on Tactical Yolo, trying to get themselves for a window back in. When they lost that, they then went for a last-ditch effort, which was bringing the TVP back around the mountain, trying to get some damage in. But at that point, they tried pushing in, and it just didn't really work out for them. But now we're back into this next game.
Time to roll out.
And lineup-wise, here from Tactical Yolo, they've dropped the 2 113s. They're bringing, they would have actually picked up Chase Potato for free because there's nothing from Envy there to really punish Yolo for doing that. Can argue that it's a dangerous move, but in reality, even if they are split up or even if they have the majority of their team there, you should still end up coming out with an equal trade.
Now comes the question, though. What do you do from this position? You're going to be, no matter where you move, you're going to be lit. The enemy is probably know what you're going to doing, and they should be able to respond.
Yep, this is the kind of east versus west that we kind of talked about it. We never really got into too much detail over it, and so Tactical Yolo, they pushed up over here onto this west side. They put themselves in behind the mountain. It can be a decent defensive position, but You have to be the attacking team, and from here, you have to try and push out across a lot of open ground in order to get to your opponents and kill them. I mean, you're the attacking team. If you just sit around, the defense will win by default if the time runs out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're waiting for. It's better to make a decision early, I'd say. So even if you, I mean, the enemy team, the defending team is most likely not going to move, and the more time you let them move around, the more they are generally going to be spreading out their tanks and having more angles at you, no matter which way you're going. So, in my opinion, it's actually worthwhile trying to. If you want to go this way, you need to do something quite early.
Yep.
They are sending the RU around though for scouting down to the south, and probably put them somewhere so you can light the middle for them.
Yeah, I mean, how this really plays out is Tactical Yolo, they put themselves in a place where they can't really be immediately punished or pushed into by Envy, because back here it is a good defensive position, and you do have the advantage if the enemy team does push into you. So they're just put themselves up in a nice defensive position here, and they're going to try and work down the map from different angles. They're going to let their RU work around, try and find some lights, let them get some damage. I mean,
RU got
that's
hit
what
hard
happened.
though. He is down to a one-shot for all the tanks.
Oh, did he get punished?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so he came up the ramp here, and he got lit in the process. Now, he took a lot of shots, but they were also to put out some return damage onto Stocks, the STB1 from Envy, but it wasn't really enough in comparison. They lost about 1,000 HP for doing about 400 in return.
Yep. Envy's just sitting pretty though at the moment, which I think is the right thing. They don't have to do anything. They're just basically waiting for Yolo to execute whatever plan they're having at the moment. Actually, no. Envy's actually pushing up somewhat aggressive with the 113s.
Yeah, I think it looks like they're trying to get some damage, maybe trying to get some intel. One thing that people, it feels like back in Season 5 this was more of a thing, but in Season 6 Cliff wasn't in the map rotation, so it feels like it's fallen out of rotation since then. But the hill that I'm looking at here in E4, you can get a light tank or even a medium tank. Like STB1s can get up here, and they can do a lot of work from on top of this hill. You put yourself up on top, and you basically control the vision. The attacking team here can't push out and really punish you, because you'll end up seeing it coming. So you'll be able to make your necessary rotation. You'll be able to start bringing your tanks in about 10, almost 15 seconds before they're even able to push, because you can see where they're grouping up their tanks.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to work out for Yolo though. There are even though there are more tanks sitting at this corner, they are actually doing worse in the HP trades.
Yeah, it's the T22 all the way in the back, the player who that nation. He has a fantastic angle all the way from that corner.
He can more or less sit hold down, or behind a bush if you choose to not get scouted at all.
Yep.
Looks like Yolo is doing a push though around the southern side of the middle hill. Let's see if they can actually. I do believe. All right, they actually do scout it. It's got a tiny bit late. Let's see what they do here. Looks like they want to take control of the middle. Envy is starting to push in with most of their mediums. They're staying fairly passive still, though. 113s are peeking against the two T22 and the 140 over to the west.
Yep.
The middle
and the
battle...
RU's coming up behind them, so that'll be a good bit of harassment, and those 113s might be able to push forward here. And that looks like what they're going to try and do.
Yeah, they should.
Along with Socks picking up AM in his 140. So this is really starting to go a little bit downhill here for Tactical Yolo, especially with the first tank going down, and there's still being enough HP on these 113s that they can sit here an HP trade between the two of them, so they should be able to pick up Spazatry without losing either one of their tanks.
They might lose one though for that.
Yeah, some good play from Pazza here has kind of allowed him to secure the kill on Duril, but he won't be able to kill another tank before he goes down unless he gets a lucky shot up onto Chase Potato.
Right. Actually looked like Vale was actually ammo racked. took a long time to reload. And the fight in the middle is also going Envy's way. I do believe Yolo lost a tiny bit too much HP moving, taking the position in the middle here. And Envy was able to clean him up.
Yep.
Right then, damage. Yet again, you can see the team with a lot of spread damage, a lot of people doing decent amount of added damage in their tanks is usually the one to win, specifically on Cliff, because it's close brawl and you need to be able to focus fire and hit your shots. Anyway though, pretty good game, I'd say.
Yep, so now if we can head back over to the strat
Yes.
sketch here.
Back to strat sketch.
The kind of the problem with Cliff is what you'll see from the best teams generally is them going to the middle, because that really does turn out to be the better engagement. Because you don't need much to take the 1-2 line really if both teams end up going there. If you go to the west and you don't commit anything to the middle, then you're kind of giving up that area of the map for free, and you're giving up so much map control almost in a way. Like I'm just going to draw here in this green. Like what Envy ended up with map control there for the most part was something like this, and it really allowed them to. I'm just pressing the ready button. Almost sit back with a bit of impunity, really.
Are you?
I was being PM'd by one of the players, sorry. When you're back
Damn
here, you have so
players.
much map control. Yeah, one of the team's players. You're able to sit back with so much map control that you can sit back and almost do nothing, because you're really just waiting. I mean, you're also on the defensive side, so you don't have to push into them. You're just waiting for the offense to try and do something. And if they want to try and do anything, in theory, you have so much vision control, so much map control that you're going to see them coming before it even happens. And you can punish them for trying to push out. And now Envy did, or not Envy, but Tactical Yolo did push out into here, and they did get away with it because it looks like Envy's tanks were a little bit more occupied looking up towards this northern corner where they had their 113s.
I don't see anything if you're actually clicking or doing anything on Strashcast, by the way.
No?
No. Anyway, besides that,
Okay,
we have
problems.
our next game going. Or next, well, yeah. Next game. We see it again, though. Envy actually bringing a little bit mobile, a little bit more light lineup this time around. And Yolo is actually bringing the more heavier one with the two 113s.
Yeah, both teams are bringing the same lineup that they brought before. So we're seeing the two 113s again, Batch Hat STB, two T22s, and the RU251 coming from Yolo, and the 140 STB, two T22s, two TVPs coming out from Envy. And the difference this time, it looks like Envy is going to be the one to take the 2 line, and they're going to be putting their RU251 Chase Potato up onto the hill.
A little bit of friendly fire there.
Oh, yeah, they tried blind firing out Panzer Gunner in his RU-251. They ended up hitting their own teammate there, so they're already kind of putting themselves in a little bit of a hole. And now they have to try and work back the same way Tactical Yolo had to try and work themselves back, but Yolo's taking a different approach to it this time.
Yeah, they're actually being aggressive. The problem here now is that Envy can more or less muster all their tanks on this side against the 4. Although Yolo has people sitting back, Lefty picks up the RU in the back. That's actually really, really good. And I do believe Yolo should actually just try and play it slower now.
Yes,
Possibly
that is the one
spread
thing.
out a tiny bit more, see if they can get something in the back lines like Carry Mode is doing here, and having shots on the Envy lineup.
Yeah, the biggest thing Tactical Yolo needs to do is they need to try and set up the same kind of containment that Envy did. They don't have to have something up against this hill like Envy did, but they really just need to try and put some distance between themselves and Envy, so that way when Envy does go to make their push out, they aren't right there. They have distance. They get free shots on Envy before they even come in, And we're starting to see a rotation here from Envy. They're bringing 2 tanks up along the 1 line. That's going to be the TVP and the 140. And they're going to be looking at trying to work their way probably up into C5, so that way they can start to take back some of this map control.
Yeah, they might have issues though with this. I think if Yolo sees this or they know there's a tank down there, they probably want to push this. I mean, they're posturing really aggressive as it is. So I think they are up in the hit points lead by like 2,000 hit points at the moment, and they are aggressively poking and trying to force Envy to either react or to push one of the sides.
Yeah, well, I mean, Envy's already down 1 tank, plus they already have one of their TVPs, one of their autoloaders up in C3. So, in reality, Tactical Yolo could take this fight right now, and they could possibly end up winning it. They may have wanted to take the fight when they first engaged ENV over here on the 4 corner, because he's an autoloader. He fired 2 shots. He backed off and started a reload, so he would have either only had 2 shots left in his tank, or he wouldn't have had any for 20 seconds. So they could have pushed in and almost fought Envy in a 6-on-4 or 7-on-4 if they even bring in their RE251, who's now pushed himself up on top of the hill over here to E8. So he should be able to outspot Wally if Wally does try and push up this ramp any farther.
Yes, I think Wally's trying to get shots on the medians that were sitting on the northern side of that hill.
Yeah,
nothing there at the moment though.
He's trying to keep his gun in the game, so that way if Halo or Lefty here from Tactical Yolo do decide to push up, he can get some nice easy side shots into them. But so far, Tactical Yolo isn't having any of it. They're keeping their low health tanks in the far back. They're using their tanks. They're just holding defensive positions here on the backside of this hill, and they're just basically drawing a line in the sand saying, hey, you have to come out and get us. You got 3 minutes, 30 seconds. You have to be aggressive, and we're just going to sit here and be waiting for you when you try and push around and do that.
Yeah, they're slowly whittling down Envy also though, so yeah, as the attacking team, you kind of want an engagement on this map fairly early. Having a peak game like this generally does not help you. Although Wall is coming in on the side here and unloading his clip, he's taking heavy damage for it though. Depending on shells here, might actually that was a good trade from them, but that's triggered Yolo to push around the corner into the concentration of Envy tanks. And they're taking a really good trade here.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good trade because Envy actually separated themselves as a team. They split their tanks up onto both sides of the hill, which isn't really the best thing to do in this situation, because if Tactical Yolo does what they just did, where they push one side, you have like an immediately 6-on-3, where then you're trying to bring in your other 3 tanks, and it just doesn't work out too well for your team. And it's going to be Tactical Yolo picking up this game here on Cliff, as this is just going to be a bit of cleanup for them. And it's all about whether Wally or not will be able to pick up carry mode and maybe Spazatry with his 4-round autoloader and his TVP.
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to... Alright, it does pick up too. Probably not going to change the outcome of this game though. I mean, 4,000 hit point lead, 1 tank left. Yeah.
And that 1 tank is a one-shot.
I must say though, I do believe that RU got in a decent amount of shots this game. He was just sitting up on hill, scouting, and giving a whole lot of vision and general map control for Yolo. And there comes the last shot into Wall and he's dead.
Okay.
Right. Damage. Let's see here. I mean, generally, a really good spread on both teams. Do believe what hampered Envy a little bit was the losing the RU so early without actually getting good trades for him.
Yep, I'm actually just going to be closing down my client and restarting it to get the observer mod in.
Alright. Then you do that, right? I'll just get Stress catch up as.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to have a good bit of time here before the next game. It'll probably be hopping here in, I'm going to say 5 minutes or so. We'll be able to go over a strat sketch here in just a second and just explain more why the two-line approach, teams can make it work, but it's a really difficult approach to try and work from just because you give up so much of the map in the beginning. From the defensive side, you give up the 2-cap. From the offensive side, you give up almost all map control, and you have to fight for every inch to get it back.
Yeah, so it's waiting on viral as usual. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. I do believe you need, if you want to go west, you need to take an aggressive engagement fairly early, and you need to win that HP trade. And if you win the HP trade, you either back off and try and engage from somewhere else, or you just push into your enemy. Just waiting like that gives the defending team more time to spread out, get angles, and have more guns trained on whenever you're going to peek around the corner.
Yep.
Maybe we should
Okay, so
do you want to bring up
should
next map instead?
Next map instead? Yeah, we can go over that quickly. It's I was just gonna highlight how what basically happened here is Envy lost their RU-251 over here up on the hill, and that allowed Tactical Yolo to put their RU up here on the hill for free. And once again, Yolo or Envy, because they went 2-line, they gave up all map control, and they were forced to try and split themselves up when they were already down a tank in order to even try and get any kind of map control back. So they kind of started off behind, and then they lost the tank, so they were behind even more, and then they have to start doing really risky things of when you're behind in a game in order to try and get yourself back into the game, and it just didn't work out for them. So yeah, they pushed up their TVP all the way around over here to B5 in order to try and get a different angle, and as soon as he was spotted, Tactical Yolo just ended up pushing right in, especially because they were able to identify, like, what happened here in the fight is Envy split their tanks. They had a few tanks here and a few tanks here, and that meant they were split. Like, they had basically 3 tanks here, 2 tanks here, and Tactical Yolo just pushed in. They fought these 3 tanks before these 2 tanks could get back into it, and by the time they came here, the fight was already lost because they were down so much HP, so many guns.
I can see you pinging if you're pinging.
I'm using the tracker.
Yeah, I think I can't see that either.
Can't see that either? Can you see his pings?
No, I can't. That scratch broken. Can you see these pings?
No, so it could be either one of us. We will close it down, and
I'll
we'll have to relaunch.
Hold on, I'll restart 2 here, I guess.
And Special Battles is up for the mines, so get in there. We're going to have 9 minutes in order to go over mines.
Same ID, I guess.
No, it'll be a different ID this time.
Well, that's good.
Oh, geez. How funny you are, Strat Sketch.
Right.
Oh, okay. That's coming down to there. I just have to edit some things because some things are broken.
Well, take your time.
No, don't have time. There's the link for you. Don't forget to go into OBS and you have to reselect the properties, and then you just have to refresh the list and reselect Strat Sketch, or else it won't register it.
Yeah, yes.
And I'm just going to add in one little blob here.
Let's see here if we can get this stuff to work. Yes, there it is.
Okay, can you now see my tracker?
Yes, I can. Finally.
Okay,
I can see everything else we put down on the map earlier today also.
Yep. Okay,
so clusterfuck. The fire was about to explain to you all.
This time. Yes, so what we are trying to do here is make the map much easier for people to understand, and try and make this to be a better learning experience for some of the newer players, newer teams that are out there. So we are trying to break down these maps into much easier to understand sectors, really. So what we have here is like purple 1, purple 2. That's your southern island. The one side, we always use 1 for an area that the defenders will end up using more than the offense, really. So for instance, this hill here, or the hill here on the island, you'll see the defense use it more with the rocks and stuff like that. They might put tanks over here. They might go for a waterside defense early on. So they'll generally have themselves up in the 1 line. The offensive, if they go for a waterside play, they'll come down the 1 line, and they'll generally have themselves down here on the beach of this small island, and that's the 2 area. Once again, here with the yellow zone, the offense, they'll come up, they'll generally play on this backside here behind this rock. They'll actually come down here. I'm just going to move this out of the way so you can slightly see. There's a rock right here that the offense can come down. They can fire off from behind the rock. It's a really good bush, but it's also a really easy place to blind fire if you're the defending team. So that might just want to go like that. Then that guy there. This guy down to there, roughly.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I mean,
my inner perfectionist.
yes. I mean, it
So
depends on what play the teams want to play. It might be as quick over as the cliff battles if you play aggressively, but also it might take a really long time depending if you want to try and cap 2 cap or not. It is completely down to how the teams want to play this map and what plans they have coming in on this. I mean, it's even viable, but not really that common to bring artillery. Because of the small distances, and if you're an artillery, you're easily spotted. Still viable though. If you can get off 2 good damaging shot, I mean, you've done your job in artillery.
Yeah, especially as a tier 8. The arty that we'd be expecting to see here would be an M40-43 from the attacking side. It's not as common from the defending side, but it's still something you can get away with. And you do really only need to get like 2-3 shots to really be worth the investment of a tank. Yeah, so how mines generally works is, I would say about maybe 60% of the time right now, you'll see teams immediately go up and they'll fight over the hill. The defending team, what they'll do is they'll come and they'll split some tanks between this orange 1 sector here and split some tanks between red 1 here. And what red 1 is it's the base of the hill coming up this way along with their section of the ramp up to the hill. The orange 1 here, it's this bottom area here that you'll genuinely see the defending team maybe put 1 tank. It'll generally be a heavier tank, let's say an IS-7 or maybe sometimes even a medium that can quickly flex out of there if need be. Or they'll push something up to this rock here, and this is a pretty high damaging spot actually, or they can even push down into this low ground here up by the top of orange 1, and that allows them to try and, I would say, suppress the attacking team. They'll either force them to push up more into the ramp of the hill, putting the rock between themselves and the people in orange 1, or they'll end up having to back off down here to the base of the hill. And then as for the offensive team, they have the advantage, the spawn advantage of getting to the hill first. If both teams ring a bat chat, the attacking team should get to the hill first and have that advantage for possibly blocking off the defensive bat chat so that the rest of their team can try and kill it, or they'll just get a tank up there first, and that gives them some good hill control for the hill fight. The hill fight includes basically this entire area here, because you kind of need to control this area if you want to hold on to the hill, because if you can't either stop or punish the attacking team for getting up, or the defending team for trying to get up on the hill, then it doesn't matter if you have 1 tank up there. The second they have more tanks up there than you automatically lose the fight for the hill. So how the...
I mean, barring Amarax.
Barring Amarax.
You never know what can happen.
No, Amarax changed the pace of the game completely. By pace, like, if the team gets Amarax, that could be the automatic the switch for
Auto-
the enemy team to just go
automatic
full out
lose.
aggressive.
Yep. I mean, we generally don't see it. It happens. To be honest, I think it's kind of a shame when it happens because, as we know, RNG and
RNG can be cruel.
well, I mean, it's not only RNG. You need to know where to aim. So a good team knows what tanks to aim what for. I mean, the 140 is a really, really good example. 2 shells into the side, or the side of the, well, the side of the turret, or the upper part of the side of the hull can fairly good. Yeah, I mean, the tanking is go bye-bye if you're lucky.
Yep. Yeah, so the attacking team, what the attacking team will do is they'll generally come up here, maybe try and push a single tank up onto the hill, and they'll put some tanks up here in red 2 up by the ramp to the hill, and they'll probably sprinkle some tanks out here on orange 2. There's 3 different areas in orange 2 that you can use. You can use this area right in here, where you'll generally see one tank going. Right now, it's very common to put a TVP there because it's a nice high damage dealing tank. You can quickly punish someone in 4.5 seconds. You're doing 1,300 damage to them. There's another rock right here that the I forget what this is called. I was going to say apex, but I don't think that's the right word of the shape here. But there's a rock that you can hide a tank behind. It's a good place for kind of countering out this area. And like they're more the equivalents of each other, except this side just it's a much bigger rock and it's a lot easier to hide one tank behind it. And then there's also the bushes down here, which can be used for trying to punish anyone who tries to go up to this area of the hill, firing down into it. Or what will end up happening is the attacking team will come down here to one line and they'll push some heavy tanks through your blue 2 here all the way down to the cap. They'll put them on the cap. They'll keep 1 or 2 tanks in support over here in yellow 2, and then they'll push the rest of their mediums down here to purple 2.
All right,
and
so
then
enough talk about, I would say, the map. Do we actually think anybody will bring an artillery?
I would say yes. I don't think it's out of or
well, it's never out of the question.
I vote for yes.
But I mean,
I'm looking.
Well, I mean, the problem is here that you really need a player in an artillery. I mean, you need to hit shots.
Yep.
But it can be tricky. I mean,
RNG's it,
I know
or
from
I was going to say
experience.
RNG. Artie is a dice roll, and you can sit there and just roll badly all game, and you're going to be missing all your shots, or you can sit here and roll pretty well, and you'll end up landing all your shots.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
we got our game actually. And
we'll get into maybe explaining some more of the map areas and stuff like that as the match proceeds, and as we possibly see some different examples of it. But yeah, as Ertai just said, we're back into game here, and we're going to see Tactical Yolo on the defensive side first, with Envy as the attacking team.
Yeah, I mean, I like the 215Bs. I'm not that sure, though, I like them on this map.
They can be slow for trying to get up onto the hill, but it might look like Tactical Yolo might be going for the 1-2 line defense that we slightly talked about, and it looks like they're going to try putting some heavy tanks up underneath the base of the hill, maybe to try and punish Envy if they are overly aggressive here in the middle, or if they try being aggressive over on the 8-9 line where Tactical Yolo has the one Tier 9 tank, the T55A, trying to get some vision. Now, as for lineups, Tactical Yolo, as we said, the 2-2-1-5Bs, IS-7, 140, T-22, and 2 T-55s. Envy bringing the 1E5, Batchat, 907, 2 T-22s, TVP, and an RU. And they've gotten up, they got their Batchat up onto the hill. He's going to be getting them some vision. Chase Potato, he's going to be holding it up here in his E5. The place that we talked about where you generally end up seeing a TVP go, we sit here and we have Durill. And then it looks like we're going to be having Envy pushing themselves all the way around over to D9 in order to try and come down the 8 line. And it looks like they'll get the jump up onto the T55. He's over there by himself right now, so all of his support, they're actually over here on the 1 line, which
I would say
is
they're playing really aggressive here in YOLO up on the 1 line. Yeah, I don't know. They really need to respond to this really quick. Otherwise, they might be in a really bad situation if the all of the medium tanks from Envy can actually get through here and up and kill the 55.
Yeah, I mean, they pushed up a lot faster than
They're actually
how fast
stopping, though.
Tactical Yolo is pushing around the map. Now, these two 215B is because Envy stopped. If Envy wouldn't have stopped, they would have actually ended up in a better position, but we get to see where all the tanks are. They don't. So they don't know that Tactical Yolo is pushing 3 tanks all the way around through the north. Otherwise, they could have pushed in and they could have killed Spazatry basically for free. But what they're doing right now is they've dumped Veal and Knight onto the 1 cap here, which doesn't get to see much play, and then they've put Who Dat Nation and Wally up in T22s to act a bit more as a screen. Now, 35 seconds left on the cap. As
the 55 can, if need be, just drive out and get 1 shell off. It looks like Lefty is going around also for that reset. This is probably not going to work out for Envy here.
Yeah.
They do pick up the 215B though in the middle on top of the hill. It's actually a really good trade for what they have.
And they've dumped another one onto the cap, so the cap count's resetting. But they need to get the reset out onto the RU, who they don't have a line of sight on. Oh, they get the reset on Who Dat Nation. Reset comes out onto Knight, so that's going to be brought back down. And Veal is going to drive off the cap, so they should be picking up these mediums. This is going to be a split fight. It'll be interesting to see how it comes out, as they did end up securing the hill, Tactical Yolo. So they do have the high ground, and they're actually up 3,000 HP, so it's not as close of a fight as I thought it was going to be.
Nope. Those 2-on-5s coming in with both HP and DPM.
Yeah, there is still 4 minutes on the clock, so if Envy can get away, they can try and come up with something else for trying to get themselves the victory here, but Veal is going to end up losing a bit more HP, I think, before he can get on out.
Yeah, it looks like Envy is trying to get over on top of hill, though, to possibly have shots in the back or on top from the top of Yolo. I mean, looking at the situation, that's probably the best thing they can do, but it still does not look good for them. They're trying to drag it out as long as possible to get better positions and see if they can, I don't know, possibly pin Yolo, make them commit into a crossfire.
Yep, they do have the high ground, but once again, Tactical Yolo does have a 6,000, but it's a 4,000 HP advantage, so they can almost just push up onto this hill without even caring, just because they Envy won't be able to kill Tactical Yolo in time. They could have had the possibility of going 1 line, but it wouldn't have worked out very well because they're on such low HP. It's a question of who do you put on cap, and all Envy, or not Envy, Tactical Yolo would have to do would just be to push 1 tank in. So the 1 line isn't really a good situation there over there with the 2 caps. So the hill really is the best option that they went with, and they're trying to set up a crossfire to try and punish Tactical Yolo when they try and push up and end this game here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't fully understand Yolo. They can push up for this. I mean, fantasy
they
points.
Can,
it doesn't
but
want
they're
that.
also
I mean,
on defense.
Yeah, but they must know that they're in a fairly comfortable lead. So who doesn't want fantasy points?
Yes, fantasy points for Silver League.
Yes, indeed. Oh, I think. Okay, never mind. 215. Difficult with gun depression.
Yeah. I mean, he's also a reverse turreted tank. Can't speak. So
reverse turreted tank. Well, his turret is situated in the back of his tank, so I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Turrets in opposite of how tanks normally are. If you can say that being in the middle is opposite from how they normally are. But Jacob, he's going to poke out. He's going to get 2 free shots off. Actually, he takes 470 in return. He's going to poke out again, and he's going to take another 400. Then, yeah, he's going to go down. And that's just more signaling the end of Envy here on their first Mines attack. As Wally drops down to try and pick up Arm, but it's not going to work out for him.
They just got him, but he trades his life for him. So.
Yeah.
And
Now,
if Who can actually bounce one, he does bounce one, so he will have another shot on Panzer. Actually,
what,
he
he
puts
bounces
it
off the
into the
T?
gun.
Yep. So let's see. Can Panzer? No, Panzer's going to bounce
Yep.
the shell.
Well, Who does pick him up eventually, but I think he will just get... Okay. 7, commit. There you go.
Yep. Even if you lose HP, you're still just going to end up killing the enemy.
Nine of 7 with loading perk. Yeah, that is a really short reload.
Yep. What are Ty's talking about there? He's talking about adrenaline rush once you get below 10% of your HP, which on the 9 of 7, which has 2000 base HP, is less than 200. You lose 9% off your reload, and it's about a 5.14 second reload, if I remember properly, once you have it fitted out with all the bells and whistles. So you get under a 5-second reload, which is pretty nasty to try and deal with.
Yeah, into the battle result here and the scores, damage scores. As you people can see, these are pretty much spread out fairly equally. So Yolo more or less winning on the fact that they actually brought more hit points to this fight. Very much. And probably landed a little bit more shells. I mean, it's always harder, specifically on mines, but specifically on maps that are a little bit smaller, to be on the attacking side because you have problems flanking around enemy. All right, in either case, we go back to map tactics. I was going to say, but stress sketch.
Map tactic, extract tactic, whatever you want to call it, it's the exact same thing. But we'll go over here what happened there very briefly. Urtai, check to see, go over to slides and click on the second option there, blank, instead of general discussion, because that might have been the issue for you.
Oh, I don't. Well, you didn't say to move to anything else. So.
I didn't know about it either.
Hmm?
I didn't know about it either. I just took it as a possibility now that I was thinking about it. But because we don't have much time here, we're going to try and go through this quickly. What happened here was Tactical Yellow.
Also.
They went for a heavy 1 to 2 line defense with... No, my pings aren't showing up. Can you see my tracker?
Yes, I can see your tracker.
Okay, so Tactical Yellow went for a heavy 1 to 2 line defense, put some heavy tanks here in G4 with another heavy tank at the base of the hill, and they left the T-55 over here as a spotter for this 1 line cap. Envy, they saw the 1 to 2 line defense, so they shifted over, tried playing the 1 cap. Tactical Yellow pushed up to take the hill. They took that, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. The 1 cap, the reason why it doesn't get used so much is because you split up your tanks, and you either you have to control the hill. If you don't control the hill, you can't control the cap. And in order to control the cap, you have to split up your tanks.
Enough of that. We actually have a game with, I would say, really interesting tanks.
Give me a second, I'll get into game. Oh, yes, we're seeing a very interesting lineup coming out here from Envy. Yeah, that's Envy, I would say Tactical Yellow.
Yeah. Looks like, I think both teams are doing something fairly interesting. I mean, fairly interesting lineup from Envy with the Waffentrager and the 263.
Yeah, the Waffles...
Definitely usable in this map, though.
Yes, the Waffle is very usable. It's not actually as much of a surprise as what the 263 is. Now, it looks like Tactical Yellow is immediately deciding that they expected Envy to give up the hill almost for free, so they could sit here, they could bring their heavy tanks, and they didn't need their mediums to try and win the fight for them. So they were immediately sending them over to the 0 line to come down flank. They're going to push into this Waffle, and this will be an interesting trade.
Yes, this is probably going to hurt a lot. Actually, they pushed the... No, they got a positive trade out of that. I don't know if they want to stay, though.
No, this is generally an area, if you stop halfway through, you're kind of just... I don't want to say digging yourself your own grave. It's like stopping in the middle of no man's land. There might be a little trench or shell crater for you to hide in, but not really a good place to be. So they're just going to try and get
most of his hit points. Yeah, not a good trade. Even though they have more hit points, thanks to the 3 heavies that they brought, it is still not good.
Nope. Yeah, so now, back to this middle here. It's kind of surprising that they haven't pushed up and taken the hill a little bit. I mean, the two T-22s, they're still there to try and punish any tank that tries going up, but they could have come up here with their two other tanks, tried baiting out the shell, having it bounce off their turrets. I mean, there's the arty that you do have to worry about, but the arty's going to sit here, he's going to find a time to fire, and then you do have a 20-second window for trying to get your tanks up there.
Looks like Yolo is going to try and take the hill here, though. They are going to get scattered, probably punished.
Yep.
Actually, that punish is fine. Not too much, though. You probably want to try and track. Actually, artillery getting a nice shot in also.
Yep, so now the HP lead disappearing here for Tactical Yolo as they're now 1,000 HP behind. But yeah, as I was saying at the beginning of the game, the Waffle isn't as much of a surprise because you'll generally be seeing it thrown back where the Lorraine is. So if teams do try and push up, they'll be stuck in a crossfire because they'll throw another tank where the Waffle is sitting right now. The 263, I would say, is more of a surprise because it's generally a tank that doesn't see much play. But he's in a decent spot that allows him to suppress anyone who's up on the hill. Well, also, if they try and throw blind shots back at him, they're going to have a difficult time penning.
Yeah, 263. Fairly hard tank to pen. Specifically frontally. And if he sits above you, yeah, good luck.
Yep. Yeah, Envy right now just sitting back, playing the time game as Tactical Yolo tries to think about how they want to approach this camp coming out from Envy. They've got 4 minutes left on the clock. They, at roughly, I would say the 2 to 3 minute time, they have to push in no matter what. So they need to try and find a good window here to get that HP back in the next minute and a half.
Yes.
We're going to see Chase Potato here. He's going to be pushing up a little bit. He's trying to get some more vision, trying to let his arty work. And with where he's sitting, Spaza, he's kind of safe. The Lorraine doesn't have much splashing, doesn't really have a direct hit onto where Spaza currently is. So he can kind of poke around that corner and keep an eye on the C5, see if the C5 is going to try coming up and taking the hill.
Yeah. I don't know. I do believe the Yolo, they need to push their advantage that they have. Well, they don't really have an advantage, but they need to try and push to get an advantage, to not let the artillery of Envy working. There we go again, another artillery shells most likely, or possibly one from the STB. That's possibly from the STB.
Who ended up taking the shell?
Carry mode, on the backside of the hill, so that was most likely from Jingles.
Carry mode? Yeah, that would have been from the STB. It could have been a blind fire from the STB, or it could have been an arty shot in all reality. It's difficult because Jingles Pro I wouldn't be able to light that, so I'm definitely thinking that if it did come from Jingles, it would have been blind fire. But if carry mode was actually throwing blind shots out over here to Jingles, then Jingles would actually have an idea of where he is, so he could make those blind shots a lot easier.
ISM was firing back in this direction though, so it was most likely a shot from Jingles that hit.
Yep.
Looks okay, never mind. Looks like they for a second there had vision of the T-22 in the west. Also, though, it actually looks like Yolo is gathering up for push in the middle here.
Yeah,
they're looking think this is going to work out too well. They're pushing straight into 263 plus two T-22s sitting on the low ground that can push in a lot of damage.
Plus a waffle in the back.
Yeah,
it's kind of a bad day to try and push it right up through the middle. But yeah, they probably would have been actually better off just pushing the one line initially, try and clean up the STB. Then they can always pull back because Tactical Yolo doesn't really have any kind of pressure they can put out. Like, they've brought an RDPs plus 2 tank destroyers. They will struggle to try and push you out of anywhere. So you could honestly just leave 4 tanks on the hill,
really good shot from the
3 tanks to the island.
Making one of the E5s use the repair kit.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna have a push coming out right now through Tactical Yolo, and they're coming right up down the middle. So they're gonna start receiving punishment here from this 263 as he takes out Halo. in that E5. And now the Waffle, he's shifted over. He's going to start clipping out into the IS-7 and possibly the E5.
I mean, if you're the one being focus fire by the Waffle, you just, you're not having a good day. You just want to get out of the position you're in. And if you're only way forward, the only way to get in position of anything is forward, then yeah, you're more or less that.
Yep. And Prometheus, he's going to go down here to that nation. AM's going to go down to Darill. Spaza might go down to the STB, or he's going to go down to Darill here any second. Then that just leaves Lefty and Panzer in the T-54 lightweight.
That goes down. Other one is left. It's Lefty. What's the 54? I don't think the 54 is going to win this for them, though. Lefty's going to go down here any second now, picking up Abu. Let's see who picks up Panzer. We'll be there up on the top of the ridge. Alright. Interesting game. I don't know. I kind of liked it a little bit different lineup from Envy, I'd say. And if you look at the damage here, it's an incredibly nice spread from Envy. Everybody's putting their basically their tank to use. I mean, 200 damage difference on the top 5 players. That is, yeah, that's good. And specifically the artillery doing that amount of damage, that really makes it worthwhile bringing him. Enough of that. Let's go over to Strat
Sketch here, where we can try and quickly go over this because we have about a minute here until the next game starts. So at the beginning here, Tactical Yolo, they committed 3. They saw the lineup and they committed their 3 heavy tanks up here to the middle. That was 2 E5s and the IS-7 because they didn't expect, or they probably weren't expecting Envy to contest it as much as they did with their 3 tanks, with the 2 T-22s here and the E5. So Tactical Yolo was immediately looking to bring their mediums over here to the east, down this 9 line into the 8 line, and try and get up here. But as soon as they saw the Waffle, as soon as they started damage, they actually stopped and immediately started to back off. And to say that's a bad idea, I mean, they took the damage, they didn't really gain anything for it, except for about 800 damage onto the Waffle, and they just allowed the Waffle to reclip without even punishing him.
He did take at least 2 shots with the damage.
He was down to about 1200, but he still went on to clip, which took him an entire minute, and during that time, they kind of sat back and thought about what they needed to be doing when they possibly could have been trying to take advantage of the Waffle at that moment in time.
Yes.
But yeah, they came back to the middle, and then they kind of slowed up a little bit. They kind of poked around on the 1 line, but in the end, they just decided to go right through the 4-5 and probably just they probably looking to the next game to begin with here. So what they could have done is flip back around, come down here to the 1 line, picked up the STB. Envy in this situation, they are almost down 3 tanks at all times, simply because they have 2 TDs and an RD. Those are 3 tanks that are sitting off in the back. You can just leave 4 tanks in the middle, flex around, poke around with 3 other tanks, and try and pick up an advantage from there, and that would have been the way I went. But we need to get back into the game as we have this next round started here.
Yes, indeed we do. Another lineup change, 250Bs. I'm kind of liking the different lineup changes. As it gives us a very varied, dynamic match. Let's see what they're trying to do with these 50Bs, though. Looks like they're trying. Oh, this is not good. Yolo pushing up onto the hill with Wally being sectioned off completely. He probably just needs to drive off the hill on the backside.
Yep. Well, this is actually working out almost pretty nicely for Yolo because having the hill, it's a really strong advantage. Just the amount of damage they've taken, it might have not been worth it. I mean, they're not even going to pick up Wally. They're going to put 600 damage on him. He's just going to drop off and come back around and regroup with his team. Yeah. Now, it did kind of work out for Yolo because they do have the high ground advantage, which is really strong on maps like Mines. Same thing with Cliff there from earlier tonight. Now, we have the RU. He's come down here. He's putting on some cap pressure. We're going to have Halo come down and try and deal with them. And it seems kind of interesting because it looks like what we have is Envy trying to do two different things at once here. It's like they're trying to build up cap pressure, but it looks like they're also trying to bring their 50Bs around the back side of the hill, maybe do some flank, which looks like they're a little bit more confused or undecided upon what they wanted to do with that there. Maybe it wasn't the call for the RU to get onto cap. Maybe he kind of went off and did it on his own. But they're going to be looking to push back up here through this middle and trying to take back this hill.
Yeah, they're doing the right thing here, though. They know 215B is out of the battle. They're taking advantage of that by pushing into Yolo. They're gonna have issues, though, because of the 250Bs clipping into the 215. They're getting them out. And they're gonna bleed a lot of hit points for this.
Yeah, actually, they're pushing all the way down. They're coming right down here for Angel. It'll be interesting to see how many shots Veal has left. Jingles, he threw out all his shells while he was driving on the move, which probably wasn't the best thing for him to be doing, but Halo will end up going down. And right now, Tactical Yolo, they need to be jumping on Drill and Who Dat Nation, which is exactly what they're doing. Drill one shot with Who Dat Nation, basically 2 shots right in behind unless they get a high roll, but the IS-7, which is carry mode, will go down for Yolo in return.
Yeah, looking good for Envy here, though. I don't think Yolo needed to be way more aggressive on this.
Yep.
They took too long time. They let the 250Bs get off multiple clips, and yeah, they might be punished off for this.
Yeah, I mean, the scariest thing in this situation right now is Jingles is on full HP. I mean, they have Veal, he's off. He's basically a 2-shot here because they'll have Russian mediums left, the 100mm 320 Alpha. And Lefty, he's driving around the hill. He's trying to get away from Knight. But yeah, it's more like Tactical Yolo, both teams really had advantages, or they had opportunities this game to really punish the enemy team for either being separated or for running all the way, like, right through their lines, pushing all the way around and just trying to isolate out specific tanks.
Yeah.
What?
I do believe that they're probably just gonna let Jingles clip up here, and then they are most likely gonna dump both Knight and Jingles onto these 2 tanks. Actually,
Knight's jumping off. Jingles, he'll probably be jumping off here as well.
He probably just have a couple of seconds left on his clip.
Yep. It's 400 hit points left for Tactical Yolo, so this one's over. They're just going to go around, they're going to pick up arm, and we have what I believe to be right now a 4-3 game for Envy. So yeah, they're now on match point.
Yeah, they are. Let's see if they can actually pick it up here on the defense, which is a little bit better side. Yeah, 3.7k damage in a 907. That does help a lot. 50B is fairly effective. But yeah, that 907, wherever he was sitting, he was picking up massive amounts of damage and not even getting that punished for it. Alright, let's jump into
the strat sketch here. And I'll try and go over this really quickly here. I'm just going to double check that I'm readied up. And then we have a minute to go over this. Now this one's going to be a lot simpler because what happened here is at the beginning, Tactical Yolo, or not Tactical Yolo, but Envy, they tried coming around here through this north with their 50Bs. They immediately pulled their tanks back, came up to about D5 here. They threw their RU on cap. And just as they did that, their 50Bs started to come all the way back here on the mountain. And that was after Tactical Yolo took the hill. They had their IS-7 and 1215B here with another 215B coming back to deal with the RU. And it felt like they were trying to do 2 things at one time because the 215B, he was able to come down here and put a shot in on the RU, which worked out because Envy had separated themselves at the time. They're trying to do 2 different things. Their medium group was here ready to go while their 50Bs were trying to go back and around the mountain. And it took them about an extra 20 seconds to regroup all their tanks and really try and punish Tactical Yolo for being separated like they were. Now, when they did this push, I felt like Tactical Yolo wasn't really ready for it because it felt like a bunch of the tanks were kind of just separated around on the hill and they weren't really in a position to punish Envy for pushing up and over because their 50B is almost pushed all the way over without even having really taken any damage. Like the damage dealers for Envy didn't get punished enough. when they initially pushed through. And then Envy, they pushed on down here. They killed the 215B, came back. At that point, they had a nice big HP lead, and it kind of just went downhill for Tactical Yolo from there. But once again, we're back into game in what could be this final 8th round here on mines.
Yes, another fairly heavy lineup from Yolo, and then yet again with the different tanks in E3.
Yep, it's really nice to see NBA coming up with a variety of strats here, so that way every single time Tactical Yolo always has to be thinking about how to approach each situation differently. That's not the same tank positioning. But as for a lineup here, what we have
it's gonna be a quick engagement though. Both going west actually. I don't know. I think Yolo should try and take this engagement. They should probably push their mediums fairly aggressively, I'd say, and see if they can actually pick up the Envy tanks towards the back end of the 1-2 line here.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, as for lineup, we're just going to try and quickly run through this. That's Tactical Yolo bring the same lineup as before with a T62, 2 T22s, 2 E5s, and an IS-7 with the 54 lightweight, and then Envy this time bringing a batch at 142 T22s, TVP, and an E3 with the RU-251 being their Tier 8 scout. And once again, they're doing this time they're doing a waterside defense with the E3 where the waffle was last time, and Chase Potato back in the corner where we were talking about waffles normally end up on this map. Now, Tactical Yolo, they're going to be slowly playing this out, feeling out for vision, trying to see where the resistance is from Envy, so that way they don't end up pushing into a bad situation like they did last time with the waffle.
Oh, talking about pushing into bad situation, it looks, to me, it looks like they kind of want to either take more control of hill or they just want to try and push straight over. Do believe Envy is ready for it though. They have a lot of guns that can train on the middle from a lot of different angles, and Yolo tries to push into this straight over. They're gonna have issues. First of all, focus firing a tank, and second of all, actually getting to the tanks of Envy to actually take advantage of their heavier lineup.
Yep. I mean, what they did last game with the medium tanks with coming down the 8 line would probably work out a lot better this time, simply because the E3 can do a good bit of damage, but it has that one shell, and then you can almost get up underneath it before it gets off its second shell, and you can just honestly push past. You can cause a crossfire on the E3, forcing him to back on off, and you could push tanks across and pick up Chase Potato almost for free if you do it with the T22. And that looks like what they're actually going to be doing. Now, if they're going to commit more tanks to it, as Halo's looking to go up and join Spaza and AM, leaving the 3 heavy tanks to try and control the hill for Tactical Yolo.
Yeah. I mean, they need to win this game to even have a chance to pick up a couple of points. They believe Envy is actually they're probably feeling decently well at the moment. They still have a chance to get additional points if they still lose this game in the tiebreaker map. Which, what is the tiebreaker map again?
Tiebreaker map?
Actually,
that'll be interesting. We'll have to go and double check the forums on that one, because
yeah, it looks like Yolo is aggressing it down the 8-9 line.
Yep, actually this was really smart from Halo Angel. He came in through the blind spot of the E3. There's 2 different ways you can approach to coming down the 8-line area. And they're just, they're looking at dumping up and over. If they can get around the E3, which Spaza shouldn't have stopped there if this was going to be their plan.
Yeah, they all need to commit around. AM is going to get focused out here by most of the tanks. They have issues. They have really hard issues penning the E3. They are pushing their heavies up though. So if they can actually single out their duel and actually also win the fight on top against Knight, Wally, and Chase, they might actually be able to pick this map up.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to pick up Derail, and this was a nice timed push coming in from both sides, especially once they pick up Wally here. I mean, unfortunately, they let the T50 or the TVP re-clip. Now, Spazza, he's going to sit here. He's probably looking at helping out the rest of the team, but he's just going to continuously be shot in the back by Chase Potato, as these 3 heavy tanks are kind of being surrounded by the mediums of Envy here.
And they're just
And an
bouncing a
Amarak.
really good shot from the E5 that would kill him. He goes down anyway, though. Yeah, actually looks like Envy's gonna pick this one up, and we actually get a winner without a
Yeah, so Envy's gonna end up picking up the series 5-3.
Yes. Without a tiebreaker map, I was gonna say.
Yep, no tiebreaker needed.
And I mean, Envy, I would say struggling a little bit. Still, I mean, picking up the win, continuing their. I do believe they've won all of their matches so far.
Yep, so far Envy has gone undefeated this season, and they're looking like favorites going into the playoffs here.
Yeah, let's have a look at the damage output yet again. As you can see, Envy fairly spread amongst all of them. Knight only managing to pick up 1 damaging shot though. Fairly high roll on that one though. And as you can see on Yolo, decent damage spread, but a little bit problematic in how they try to, I would say, approach Envy. Always hard to push into a TD, no matter what the TD is. Waffle or E3.
Yep.
I don't know. Do you wanna go with this on Strat Scratch a little bit? Oh, you actually already pushed it out. Nice. Then,
I already have it all finished up
that.
here. This one's gonna be a lot easier to break down because Tactical Yolo, they did the right thing with their push and it was working out. It's just unfortunately I feel their problem was more their medium tanks failing to be on the same thought process. They came and pushed up onto this E3 with AM pushing past him and going around where he ran to the TVP and the RU who was shooting him in the side constantly. If all 3 of the mediums had kind of just they pushed on up through and gone around the E3, I mean, they ended up tracking the E3, so the E3 was still basically out of the battle. That's the problem with bringing a fixed turreted TD, is if you can track it out and shoot it in the side, it's practically just an HP sponge.
I mean, that would have helped them a lot too. They could have gotten up and around E3, focused on the TVP, letting TVP only get out 1 clip, and then basically boxed the E3 in and killed them without the E3 being able to do anything.
Yep. And then the RU constantly shooting them in the sides here. That was a problem for AM because he got killed by the RU-251. I feel like he took, I think, 3 shots total from him.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that RU was definitely putting out damage. Let's see what it did. The RU actually did 2.1k damage, which is a lot for a tier 8 and a tier 10 game. So yeah, he had a really good time.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is kind of where their plan went wrong. And once they kind of lost the high ground, it was just an outnumbered heavy tank surrounded by mediums, and they ended up just slowly dying from there. I mean, the lightweight, he ended up dying over on the island because the bat chat, I think he either tried pushing the one line at the same time or the bat chat kind of pushed up and found him, and then came back over and got into the fight. But yes, it was a really good series from both teams. Lots of learning things for both teams to think about going into the future, especially with the playoffs coming up. One of the things with Silver League is your maps are set every single night for your games. You don't get to choose your maps for you. So for Tactical YOLO, this could have possibly, like, either one of these maps could have been a bad map for them. Maybe it was a bad map for Envy. Maybe the series could have possibly gone in Envy's way. Like, it could have been I'm just.
You mean in Yolo's way?
Yeah, it could have gone Yolo's way. It could have gone Envy's way more. Could have been a more one-sided victory for Envy. It could have been a more one-sided victory for Yolo. It really just comes down to the maps that you get.
I mean, both of
Playing
these
each
maps,
night.
both Cliff and Mines, is fairly, like I said, they're really close. So the battles generally, I mean, most of the battles I would say were pretty slow today. I would say generally though, the battles are actually fairly quick on these maps because, I mean, just trying to whittle down an enemy that has a fixed position with the guns trained on you generally does not work if you if you're playing against good players.
Yep. A comment I made there, which was Halo pushing down this inside. There's two ways to approach the 8 line on this map. You can either come down through the backside of the city here, which is your more common approach, or you can actually sneak down the 7 line here, and you can actually come through the blind spot, like the 62A, which was Halo. I don't believe he was lit until he was crossing this opening right about here. So if all of Tactical Yolo's tanks, they all could have done that. They all could have come down in here, and their push might have gone a little bit better. I mean, the T-22s, they got lit right about somewhere in here, and that's where they took their first shell. And the biggest thing with coming down this way is the E3 has, I believe, a 14-second reload on its gun. So the distance you have to travel from here to here instead of here to here, like, you have about an extra 3 or 4 seconds traveling from here to here than you do from here to here. So it's like this would have worked out better for them because the E3, it would have taken him longer to have the follow-up shot. It's like at that point you're kind of fighting over pennies, but sometimes if you collect enough pennies, they add up to $1. So
Do they?
yeah, you just need 100 of them.
I guess.
Yeah,
Wait,
I mean that can honestly be.
Wait, are you
Sorry?
sure?
You are in Sweden, so
I
a
don't know.
penny might be something different for you.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even use that, so.
Yep. Yeah, and Rip the Penny,
So.
she was nice. Canada misses her. Yeah, so all in all, a good series. The last game there, that was actually a lot closer than what it may have looked. Maybe with a little bit better medium tank play, if all the mediums were on the same page, it probably would have been 4-4 tie, and we would have been sitting here trying to find out what the overtime map is and going through the different replays to try and see which team has the advantage. And they would get to choose their side on the overtime map. But I think that's it for tonight. You're probably wanting to go to bed. It's like 4 a.m. over there in Sweden.
Well,
so
I mean, you have it. It's more like 5, as people
like
can see on the
5?
stream. Yeah, I mean, you have the clock up on the top right.
The stream right now for us, it's in the middle of the match here with the last game. So
yes, I mean, it's like I said before, it's an 8-minute, 8-minute delay. So yeah, but with that, I mean, I think we got over everything pretty good. I think it's time for shameful plugs, if you would please.
time for shameless plugs.
Yeah, shameful.
Sure.
Yeah, shameless is a shame. Yeah, that's probably a better word to use.
Shameless or shameful?
Huh?
Yeah, I mean, you'll be able to find this on YouTube as well. We'll probably end up uploading Urtai's copy, the stuff you got to see there on stream, because I was doing a lot of things off in the background. You can follow Urtai on Twitter over at Urtai Watt, I believe it is for you.
Yeah,
Not Urtai 22, like it is on your stream.
Well, no,
then
not the 22. That is just
that's
just
Twitch.
on Twitch, because
And then Urtai Watt is Twitter. And for me, my name is Viral. You can find me over on Twitter. And I do have some YouTube where I do upload some occasional stuff. Some of these might end up on there, some of these streams, if I end up doing some solo casting, because unfortunately I don't have enough upload to stream these myself. But yeah, I believe that'll be everything for tonight.
Yeah. Hopefully we're back with more. Hopefully, I can. I'm not going to be sick next time. Hopefully, no Zika virus. Hopefully, but yes, that will be it. And
Have a nice
yeah,
night.
yeah. Comments, anything. I'll be in chat a little bit after this. So any comments, anything that we can work on to give it a better experience to you guys. Anything that we can
This
do.
is our second stream. We've tried improving things from the first time, and we're looking at trying to really make this into a nice little production going in here to the playoffs. Every single night we're trying to make things better, and tonight I think it was a big step up from the first night, and then hopefully next Monday will be a step up from today. So don't forget, or don't be afraid to give us any kind of feedback, anything you want to see improved. Let us know through the Twitch stream. You can reach us on Twitter at UrtaiWatt and Viral. And yeah, as we said, good night. And
Yes.
hopefully we'll see you guys out on the battlefield.
That's so cheesy, Viral. So fucking cheesy.
It's cheesy, but hey, we still play pub matches.
We do.
We're still masochists.
One thing though, thank you, Orange, for the suggestion already. I know you were fairly adamant about it. So yes, thank you. Then that probably makes it better. And yes, hopefully see you guys around for next time. So
Yep.
bye bye.